It's real breakfast hours. Eat breakfast if you up. Today's breakfast is... Well, actually, we had dinner this time.
Yeah, real dinner hours is back, baby.
Oh, yeah.
But I had a chicken pesto flatbread and some like kale and carrot slaw and a blueberry bliss smoothie from Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
I had some Subway, a foot-long meatball and Italian with bacon, provolone, jalapenos, and black olives.
Welcome back.
Boom. 17, baby. Except, not quite this time.
Oh,
It's
shoot.
not quite breakfast.
No? Oh, heck. Yeah, it's got an eraser on it. Doesn't have time to erase, I guess.
Chose not to. Boom.
There you go.
Should even add more ends.
Okay. Anyways, so we're back again for another regularly scheduled real breakfast hours.
You know, the only thing scheduled about these is fan demand. And hopefully the upload schedule. Though, as you probably could figure out by the fact that it's real dinner hours, we're not recording at our normally scheduled time.
No, yeah, we had things that happen. Well, okay, I have my strawberry dress on today. I went strawberry picking with my mom this morning, and then he had to get a haircut, and he didn't want to.
Oh, you know what?
You don't have your spikes.
I completely forgot to gel my hair before we started.
Bro, you're killing me.
I guess we're this deep already.
Yeah.
Let it ride.
But he had to get his haircut today, so he didn't want to film before that.
I would have looked silly.
So
Even
here
more
we
than I
are.
do now.
You don't even look silly.
I'm looking fresh.
Let's. What submissions do we have?
You know what? I do have two from my longtime fans and friends. You know what? I'll let you people guess who they are. You got about 10 seconds to guess while I find the group chat where they sent them in.
It's a Real Breakfast Club.
Yes, indeed.
Do you want to be added to the Real Breakfast Hours fan chat?
Well, too bad. Highly exclusive. You gotta submit your breakfast if you want to be in the chat. Okay, so our first one comes from Crollo, once again. Him and Jugs are who submitted this time. Coincidentally, the breakfast that they sent could also be dinner, because they are off not quite breakfast. Crollo sent a gas station breakfast burrito.
Not cut in the middle so we can see what it looks like inside either. I think like Gren submitted one like that before and we roasted him for it.
Gren sent like a top-down picture of a sandwich, so it just looked like bread. There was no cross-section.
There's no cross-section on this, so Crollo, I'm roasting you.
Now, what I'm more roasting him for is it's a gas station burrito, which, you know, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes them gas station burritos be hitting, but they're not typically the only thing I eat for a meal. Like when we were at undergrad, when we hadn't graduated college yet, they had like a little, it's like a 7-Eleven, little gas station store, and I used to buy these like 70-cent frozen disgusting burritos, and I would get like 5 of them and would snack on them.
It's not a gas station.
I said it was like a gas station
more
store.
Like a corner store, if you will, because there's no gas station attached, but...
Yes, it's like a little convenience store.
Yes, so there you go.
So thank you, Crollo. I hope to see you eating a more regular breakfast in the future.
I mean, it's a breakfast burrito. Like, it's a breakfast burrito.
But is it satisfying? You know what? Let us know in the comments how good your breakfast burrito was, Crollo.
It's definitely satisfying. Listen, you got the carbs, that's the wrap. Then you get probably egg and cheese and perhaps even another form of protein in sausage or bacon or something. Like, what are you missing there?
The quality.
I mean, only in that it's a gas station one, but like a breakfast burrito is a very common
It is, you know, it is breakfast. Definitely breakfast. I'm just saying.
He's a hater?
Yes, I'd be waking up mad early to get my hating in.
I can't believe you have me out here defending Crollo.
Mickey the Crollo Beater is what she goes. That's her street name.
Yeah.
So you go to like the corner of MLK Boulevard and Mickey the Crollo Beater Lane. Anyway, the next person that one of my friends submitted is from Jugs. Good old Darren. I honestly don't even really know. Oh, okay. He
It's
said this is a risky breakfast. Steaks are from Sunday, and the potatoes are a week old. And then Carlo said, "What are you playing with fire?" And the answer is yes.
Yeah, and
Almost as
I
different.
didn't have a fun, like, short way to say it in the chat when he said that, but I was kind of maybe like, him, like, you know the meme where the kid has, like, the veins popping out of his forehead? I was like, that's him if he saw me throwing away food, because it's like, I don't trust it. Because I do that all the time. Like, I get nervous that it's bad, and then I'll throw it away.
I do that with some food that has an expiration date and it is past.
Yeah.
They're a normal human. But I won't throw away.
But sometimes it'll be before the expiration date, but, like, it's just something's wrong about it, you know? I don't trust it.
Also, if it's been frozen, I mostly kind of just ignore any sort of expiration date. And then
That's why I hate
go
when
with the vibes.
I hate when you have the frozen bread because then you can't go off the expiration date anymore. So then I'm like, I don't know when this is gonna go bad.
Probably after I eat it.
Like for you, maybe.
It'll get a.
I just am someone who doesn't eat bread that often, so a fly just flew past. I wonder if the camera will pick it up. Anyways, so thank you for submitting your breakfast.
We love it. It's another certified mic dub. We should. Oh, that would be a great use of this bad boy here. I'm gonna put like a little corner that I'm not gonna erase. I'm erasing hours here, and
Maybe you should do me in one corner and you in the other.
I was just gonna do like.
I feel like you're gonna have so many.
The problem with this is there's not really a convenient way to differentiate our names because we have the same initials, and then Mike and Mickey look pretty similar. But we're just gonna start the count now.
Okay.
We're gonna give her the benefit of the doubt and ignore all the old ones. So I'm just gonna take 2 points, fair and square. You know, if you guys don't want to see Michaela lose, submit her some breakfast.
Wow. Now there's an ultimatum.
There is. Right? Well, an ultimatum would be or else.
Yeah, I guess.
But yeah, so nice 2-pointer for me.
We have some news to talk about.
A couple of things.
Some that are very, very popular probably right now. A
Well,
lot of ocean-themed things, if you know what I'm saying.
definitely. Why don't, let's crack open a cold one. Moxie, specifically from Maine. If you're not from Maine, fix yourself. Do better.
He's really taking on the Mainer title.
I'm doing my best, alright?
He's actually not ready to go back to Connecticut.
No, I like Maine quite a bit. I love my hometown and everybody in it. But Maine is nice. We saw an advertisement today trying to get people to move to Maine. It was weird. We don't have time to talk about why it was weird.
There was a lot to unpack there.
It was a strange
sure.
ad. Having ads at all where people are like, move to Vermont. And it's like somebody being really animated and everything.
I will say, this was not one of those, like, states will have moved to, like, Ohio or whatever, because they want, like, people to live to help their economy and stuff. This was not, like, a state-sponsored one. This was, like a couple of people talking in different locations and, like, definitely amateur filming kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it was interesting.
In the shortest terms possible, it was an advertisement to try to get people from Africa to move to Maine. And everybody in the commercial was very African, and they had accents, and they had pictures of Maine and stuff in the background. They were like, you can buy land in Maine. Do it now. Let's get diverse. And then at the end of the commercial, it was a rainbow flag Star of David, and it said brought to you by the Anti-Defamation League.
Yeah, and
It was weird.
some African American Jewish something. I've been trying to look up this ad and like the group that said it put on this ad, and I can't find anything about it.
Yeah.
So it's weird.
So this is us documenting that we saw it. It happened. It was real. But I haven't been able to. I can't find it online. We did record just a snip of it, which I'll have saved in my phone.
And sometimes, like, because it was on YouTube, and sometimes, in the corner of an ad for YouTube, it will tell you, like, the company or whatever that's putting the ad on, but there was, like, nothing on the top right corner or top left corner of the ad. It was just like nothing. Anyways.
What do you have?
Well, like I said, I have many ocean themed things, but I feel like those are really the substance of this episode, in my opinion. So let me hit you with something not related first. Oh. Okay. So one more Taylor Swift factoid for you, but this is not about Taylor Swift.
I can't get away from her.
This is about her fans. Because apparently, so I was on TikTok a few weeks ago, and I forgot to tell this story like last time, but I was scrolling through, and there was this girl saying how apparently there was a book that the author had not been announced yet, but it was on pre-order, and the only thing I think people knew was that it was going to be like an autobiography kind of thing, you know? And people, the Taylor Swift fans, were convinced it was her. Like, it was an autobiography about Taylor Swift that she wrote. They were like, as they do.
Was the name of the book?
They didn't. I don't even think they had the name.
So they only knew that a book is being written.
They knew the date that they were going to release the author's name, and they knew the date that the book was coming out. And they knew, like, the page number and stuff. And so her thing is, like, 13 is her lucky number. Because I think she was born on December 13th or something like that. May 13th. So she's, like, 13. So 13s are big for Taylor Swift. And sometimes she'll, like, post stuff or release albums on, like, a 13th. So there was something with 13 that people were like, it's Taylor Swift. There were some other numbers, like July 9th, I think, is when the book is supposed to come out. And apparently she says that in a song. Like, she says July 9th in a song or something. I don't know. There was, like, all these because, you know, Taylor Swift girlies will connect a million dots to tell you that, oh, no, it means this. Even though, like, they could be so far out. Like, Delulu? Like, yes.
I don't even know what that means, and I don't think I want to.
Delusional? Like Delulu?
Oh, Delulu. I was like, who the heck is Delulu?
Delulu just means they're delusional. Okay? Like, we love them, but sometimes they go a little crazy.
You know who's just like that? Five Nights at Freddy's fans.
Also that.
If you've ever heard of or played the game Dead by Daylight, it's a horror game. It's asymmetrical PvP, which basically just means that there's 4 players who are trying to survive, and then one person plays as the killer. Like, you're Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers and all that. You play as Michael Myers, and you try to stab these 4 people before they can get away from you, in a nutshell. And every once in a while, they'll release a new character. Usually it's a killer. Sometimes it's a survivor. Like, they released Ash from Ash vs. Evil Dead. So, like, he was a big survivor, but mostly they released killers. Like, they released the Demogorgon from Stranger Things, and he came with Steve and Nancy as survivors, but the Demogorgon is the big appeal there. A couple of years ago, I think probably 2 years ago at this point, they were announcing some new killer. And the way they did it, it was on, like, a shaky camera, and there was static and stuff. And people were like, oh my god, it's obviously Five Nights at Freddy's, because there's, like, staticky cameras in the game. The next thing that they did was they included, like, a small clip of a television and a date. Well, it turns out that the people were saying, oh look, that date is like an anagram for a Five Nights at Freddy's thing, and I swear I saw a shadow on the television that looked like Freddy Fazbear or something. It ended up being the girl from The Ring, because the date was like the date that the movie came out, and the TV and all the static and stuff, because the girl crawls out of the television.
Right.
After they announced the girl from The Ring, people were like, it's a red herring, it's obviously Freddy Fazbear still.
Oh
like, smoke and mirrors, it's not her.
Just like everything. Well, anyways, so there was this book. They didn't know the author yet, but they were like, this is the day we're telling you who the author is, and this is when it comes out. But the pre-orders were open before we knew who the author was. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Oh, so
so this video was like, it's already shot to like the top of the pre-orders list on Barnes and Nobles and stuff like that, because people thought, well, the Taylor Swift girlies, because they're insane. We love you, but you're insane. Thought it was Taylor Swift. So they're all like scrambling to pre-order as soon as they all hear that, right? It was for BTS.
That's just as bad.
Yeah, but then on that video, I was looking through the comments, and all this was like before it was announced, and all the BTS fans were like, it's for BTS, bro, because I guess July 9th is significant to BTS. Like, I don't know if that's when they formed or something, but apparently that is also significant for them, so they're like, it's a BTS autobiography. And it was, so it's a little bit of an L for the Taylor Swift girlies.
No, you know what's funny? There we go. I imagine that there's a decent amount of overlap between BTS fans and Taylor Swift girls.
Like, probably, but
Probably
honestly, not that you even see that much. Because I just feel like the K-pop fans are so enmeshed in idols and, like, K-pop stuff that they don't even have time for Taylor Swift. And likewise for Taylor Swift girls, you know what I mean?
Too busy drooling over Taylor Swift to think about Jungkook or whatever his name is.
Yeah. I feel like you could have a Taylor Swift girlie who was obsessed with K-pop a little bit, but I almost feel like you couldn't have a K-pop girl obsessed with Taylor Swift. Obviously, this is like just me saying stuff, but you know what I mean? Like, because there's so many different idols.
It's not enough time in the day to be a fan of both.
Yeah, because they'll make like these what do they call
fan
them?
cam
Yeah,
tributes?
they make fan cams for all the like different idols, and there's so many different K-pop groups versus Taylor Swift is like one person at least. So, yeah.
So I've been reading my 40k books, Warhammer, and the bad guys in these books are chaos worshippers, and they worship the chaos gods. Each individual chaos god has like a lucky number or a significant number. They're like 6, 7, 8, and 9 because there's 4 gods and there's the 4 numbers. In particular, the one in this one is Nurgle, and his numbers are 3 and 7. So everything that he does is in 3s or in 7s. So he's got like 7 knights, and each of his 7 knights has like a 7-syllable name or something like that. When you're like, oh, well, Taylor Swift 13 is her lucky number, and she does everything in 13s. So what is Taylor Swift a chaos god now? Like, I have Chaos Marines for Taylor.
Yeah, basically.
That's basically what it's like. The way these people are with her, it's.
Do you know what's crazy about that? That actually reminded me of something dumb. Back in kindergarten, we would have like a person of the week, I think, or maybe it was I think it was probably for the week, but maybe it was for the day, but I think it was for the week. And she would have like their letters of their name as individual like little papers on like a whiteboard or something, and she would like slowly reveal each letter so we would see. So of course for some people who have like similar names, you'd be like ooh until the last few letters, but I was one of 2 people that had 8 letters in our name, because Michaela, the way I spell it, is 8 letters, and there was only one other girl in my class who had an 8-letter name, but her name started with C. So pretty much as soon as that, I knew it was either me or her, and then the first letter we would know who it was. So that was always funny to me. Like with other people, like I would not be sure, because you know lots of people might have a 5-letter name or something, or a 6-letter name, and a bunch of people have a 6-letter name that starts with I don't know what it was, but you know what I mean. There was only 2 of us who had 8-letter names, so I always knew it was one of us if it was 8 letters.
You're definitely a smart cookie because you said a kindergarten, and I don't know if necessarily every kindergartner knows their alphabet quite well enough to be like, that's an I in the second slot, which means that it can't be Jonathan.
Well, for me, it was C or M in the first slot. I mean, those are pretty different.
Right, I'm just saying that like kindergarten is when you learn like your numbers and stuff.
Well, I did pre-K, so.
Oh well, obviously
I was ahead of the game.
A cut above the other
you
6-year-olds.
You don't get gifted and talented not knowing your alphabets and your easy numbers in kindergarten.
It's like people who plan out their kids' lives.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, he's gonna be a football player, she's gonna be a track star, right? My children are going to be dentists. If they're not in the gifted, like if your kid doesn't already know their alphabet by age 5, you're done. You got to restart. Have a new one. Have another one.
Oh my God.
There's a commercial when we were watching hockey that I don't know the hockey players' names all that well, especially not for teams that aren't on the Bruins or for players who aren't on the Bruins. But there were these 2 presumably hockey guys, and one of them's got like the kid in the papoose right in front of him. This kid, obviously so young that he's not walking yet, right? And the other dad is like, how old is he? And he's like, 11 months or something. He's like, not really a hockey kid? What? It's like, I mean, why is he not out there on the ice? He's 11 months. It's like, it's not for everybody, I guess. And then it cuts to like this 6-year-old or something, like on the ice with all these grown men checking them and stuff. He's like, chip off the old block, huh? So yeah, if your kid's not walking by 2 weeks and doing their multiplication by 4 years, then start again.
God. So yeah, that was just my fun fact about Taylor Swift. What do you have?
I took a couple of small notes here. First one being Russia.
Oh yes.
Just one word, Russia. And that was obviously there's been the Ukraine thing going on. The 3-day special military operation that happened, over a year ago now. That was what Putin called it when that first happened. Did you remember?
No.
Oh, you got an eyelash.
Yeah, I was just messing with my eyes.
When Russia initially invaded the Ukraine, Putin declared it a special military operation. Not a war, not an invasion. It's a special military operation. Because in his mind, Ukraine already belongs to Russia. You can't invade Utah, So it's just, special military operation. He said it would take him a week or less. I think he said 3-day special military operation. So people were posting memes. Day 458 of the 3-day special military operation, they've taken the airport. But last night, I believe, I don't know however many hours ago that was, but like less than 48 hours ago, apparently the Russian mercenaries that Putin hired to help with the war just turned around and started marching on Moscow. And the Russian nationals were like blowing up bridges and stuff to try to prevent them from getting to Moscow. Allegedly, it's because the mercenary leader wants more political power and stuff from Putin. I think, like, when the war is over, he doesn't want to just be like thrown away. He wants to like be kept with military
I
might.
saw something that said that that guy was claiming that they got attacked by Russian soldiers, so they were fighting back.
It's possible, but I'm just saying what I saw.
That's what that guy was claiming, anyways.
Point is, the Russian I believe they were the Wagner guys.
Yeah.
The Wagner guys are fighting against Ukraine, but then they turned around and started marching on Moscow, and that's been going on all day. But as of a couple of hours ago, I heard that Putin might have, one, fled from the Kremlin, because obviously, and two, he basically told the Wagner leader guy, you can have whatever you want, just go back and kill more Ukrainians. and they already turned back around and started marching in Ukraine again.
That also reminds me of something.
Before you get into that,
sorry.
I have one more thing. Earlier we talked about the commercial with the Africans moving to Maine. Well, apparently the son of the president of Uganda said that if the Wagner guys kill Putin, that like the Ugandans will avenge him or something.
What?
Yeah, I'll see if I can find
what
the post.
What do the Ugandans have to do with Russia?
I don't know, but I'm gonna find the post. Uganda will send soldiers to Moscow to defend Putin if need be, according to the president's son.
What is that source? I can't even see what it's from.
It was just a friend sent it to me. It might not be real, but I'll look it up. You can go ahead while I look this up.
Okay, well, you saying Kremlin made me think of something also. This one is kind of embarrassing for me. But in high school...
It's from africanews.com.
Oh, heck yeah. In high school, I didn't really know... So, I was in A-Push in my junior year of high school. And I didn't know more of the, like, recent history, because we spent a lot of time on, like, old U.S. history news. And, like, we kind of just bulldoze through the 20th century. So...
As you do.
My 20th century history related to U.S., Russia, that sort of stuff was not strong. But towards the end of the class, we're doing these, like, practice tests to prepare for the AP exam for the A-Push. And one of the essay questions I got said something about the Kremlin, and I literally had never heard Kremlin, so I did not know what that meant. And I knew it was something Russia, but I just, like, genuinely didn't understand what the Kremlin was.
It's like the White House.
Okay. Ever since, I still haven't been sure, because I feel like people talk about it in weird ways. But I guess if it's like the White House, then a lot of times that it sounds like they're talking about it like a person is because they're doing, like, the symbolic,
right,
how when you talk about Biden, but you just say the White House did this, like that kind of thing. Okay, but well, even up to now, I guess I didn't really understand that well. But I certainly didn't. I hadn't even heard someone say Kremlin when I was in high school, so I was like, just writing a paper like, oh, I don't know. I think if I looked back on it, I would probably be embarrassing because I probably was not like referring to it right because I didn't understand what the Kremlin was.
Looking back at a lot of actions, activities, and or phrasing from public school era usually isn't good for you.
Yes, but usually it's because I was just like an embarrassing child and not because I didn't know things. In this case, it was because I didn't know things.
Yes. Rare Michaela L.
Yeah.
Aren't you happy I said rare?
I am. You should talk about your number 3 point because the other stuff is related.
Oh. Well, I went on a trip for work this past week. I was gone all week. My job requires travel. I ended up in New Jersey. I was in New Jersey from, well, let's put it this way. I woke up on Monday and I was on a plane by 10. Headed down to New Jersey. Work didn't actually start until, it was going to be a Monday afternoon thing, but the guy who I was meeting for work is very scatterbrained. He forgets things often. So on Monday, he forgot that they were actually closed that day for Juneteenth, which my company wasn't, but his was. So now I'm just in New Jersey with no work to be done. And I was with a coworker because I'm still reasonably new. So we went together, and he was like showing me the ropes while we were on the road. While we were there, now it's Monday, we got nothing to do. We were like, let's go get some food. So we ended up going to the mall and eating dinner at the Rainforest Cafe in New Jersey. There used to be one of those in Boston, and there isn't anymore. So the closest Rainforest Cafe for us New Englanders is in New Jersey, and I was not just going to randomly go.
Well, I want to go so bad. Do you know how upset I was? Like, I was also, like, I kind of told him, I was like, you should go to Rainforest Cafe if it's close by when you're there, because he was going to New Jersey, and we've been talking about how the closest one is in New Jersey.
It's 10 minutes from my hotel.
But then I was also like, how dare you go to the Rainforest Cafe without me, because we've been talking about it probably for like over a year now, because it was when he was living in Massachusetts that we first had the thought that, oh my god, let's go to the
There's
Rainforest
one nearby,
Cafe.
but there wasn't.
Because we thought there was still one in Boston, but it closed down.
Despicable.
The other closest one, I think, is in New York. Because if you didn't know, there's two, apparently, near Niagara Falls. There's one on the Canada side and one on the New York side, which is infinitely funny to me. I don't know why they decided, oh, we need one on each side.
One for the Canadians and one for the real people. Looking at you, Noel.
Oh, hi. Anyways, yeah, continue.
Yeah, so we ate at the Rainforest Cafe, and we had a good old time. We got our boss a little plastic memorabilia cup with her name on it. We took a picture with a animatronic monkey. And then, speaking of forgetting, I'm not going to talk about work too much. However, on Tuesday, we had work actually began, and we were supposed to be there at 8:30 because we had to sit through like a training session where they just like press play on a VHS, like in elementary school or something, where they would wheel the thing in and put the VHS in the TV and like play Bill Nye. It was like that, but with a little safety briefing for working at this very large pharmaceutical site. But you need to be escorted through. They're not just going to open the door for you. And security won't let you through unless you're on the list. And the guy that we were supposed to be meeting never put us on the list, even though we were emailing him about it last week. So we make a couple of calls, and they get us on the list. Now it's 8:45. Training started at 8:30. He's still not there because it turns out he forgot he had asked us to come. And he's like, oh, I'm not going to be there until like 9:30. Maybe somebody else can help you. So we had to call somebody else to come escort us through the building. And we eventually did get to the training thing, but the video was already half over. Fortunately, the woman was in a good mood, and she just had us sit there, and she replayed it for us afterward. And then we got to work. By the time we were done with that, our actual contact was there. But I mentioned he was scatterbrained. He's that kind of scatterbrained. And the whole time, first of all, he was very kind. Right? He's very nice, soft-spoken, intelligent. He just must have so much on his plate that he does things like this, because the whole time we were there, we were with him for like 10 minutes talking to him, and his collar was like messed up in the back here, like sticking up. Like the front parts were down, like the back of his collar was all messed up. Before he leaves, I was like, oh, sir, not to be weird or anything, but your collar's a little messed up. He was like, oh, okay. Thanks, bro. And then he leaves without actually fixing it. And I was like, So I just didn't say anything to him. I was like, I told him. He's like, I gotta go get to a meeting. I'm like, oh, I hope they can't see the back of your shirt. And then the next day we're there, and it looked like he had like sat on something. He had something on the back of his leg too. It was just this guy can't.
My man's just having days, huh?
But I think that's every day for him.
Probably.
Because he's just like that. He's just so busy. But yeah, otherwise work went fine, and I got home Thursday night, and she was very excited to see me.
Yes, because I missed you.
Yes, I missed you too. The hotel bed was very comfortable, but very low.
Ooh, speaking of hotel beds, we're going on a cruise next year. Not going too much into it now, but we did book one recently to go to Alaska, which we've been talking about for
A while.
actually over a year now. Because what did we get the idea just from that guy, or did we already?
No, it was from that guy.
Right? Because when we went on our cruise last year to the Caribbean, which was our first trip together, that was very nice. Well, it was our first like trip.
Real
you
trip.
know?
Trip
that
we
we
had to get on a
spent
plane.
somewhere. Yeah, we got on a plane and we stayed overnight somewhere. You know, that sort of thing. They have shuttles that take the people who are going to the boats, the different cruise ships, the port, from the airport to the port. And usually, you know, you don't have to pay any extra. Usually it's like included. So we were waiting, and then we got on a shuttle with other people who were going on our ship and other like Royal Caribbean ships, because that's the one we went on. And there was this guy right in front of us, and we'd just be like, "Oh, look at that!" Because it went out of Miami, I think, right?
Yes.
And you know, I haven't really been to Miami, so I was just like, "Oh, look at that funny building," or like, "Oh my God, look at that billboard," you know? And he'd be like, "What?" And I'd be like, "Oh, it was something stupid." You know what I mean? Like this guy's just kind of like invading our conversation a little, but like I don't mind because I'm on vacation. I'm just in a good mood, and but it's a little bit awkward because I'm like, "Oh, it wasn't actually interesting."
I get a little annoyed. I kind of like to be left alone.
Yeah, but he didn't mean any harm, you know. Some people are just like that, and I can be like that too sometimes, so whatever. But like towards the end when we were waiting in the port, because they kind of like stopped at each ship to let people off, I think, or in like different areas. We were talking, and he was like, "Oh yeah, he asked us, I think, you know, is this your first one?" I was like, "I've been on Royal Caribbean before, but it was his first." And he was like, "You gotta go on an Alaskan cruise." And then so ever since then, we've been like,
Had it on the mind.
Alaskan
We've been
cruise
saving
line.
up.
Yep. So now it's booked for next year.
What other aquatic news do we have?
Oh, we have so much aquatic news for you. In fact, this one, real quick, is maybe not good because I've been hearing people say, like, time to get out of the ocean for many things. The first thing that started the get out of the ocean talk, here's a headline for you. Whales have attacked plenty of boats before. This time is different. So, if you haven't heard of White Gladys and her crew also.
I haven't heard.
You haven't heard of
I
this?
haven't heard of White Gladys.
The orcas have been like attacking rich people yachts.
Oh, you know what? I saw the memes about that. I saw somebody post like J.K. Rowling's yacht.
Yeah.
And we're like, orcas looking for you.
Yeah. So, and this is so funny. This is from Slate.com. This says, over the weekend, the internet found a new hero, anti-capitalist, direct action taking killer whales. Which is so true. Actually, we've really had a nature is healing moment for anti-rich people stuff. Like, the orcas started it, and then our next point, related to the Titanic.
Related to the ocean.
In the ocean, we'll say later. But, anyways, there's this whale. Okay, well, there's been, like, hordes of whales, I guess, that have been just, like, attacking these... They're sinking boats, but, like, mostly yachts. And in particular, they think there's this one that they call White Gladys that like started it and is teaching the other whales. Like,
That's the name of the whale is White Gladys?
Yeah. Because I guess Gladys is what they call whales that like attack human boats.
Oh.
So, but they're calling her White Gladys. But I guess technically Gladys is just like a classification they give to whales that do that kind of stuff. But she's like popular. And from what I heard, someone said that, like, they think she got hit by a boat or, like, humans did something to her that, like, she got hurt. And now she's teaching other killer whales to attack the ships.
You know what? It'd be that way sometimes.
Yeah, see, it says there's been 20 incidents this month alone, and I think this was at the end of May. So, between the highly social apex predators and small vessels sailing in the Strait of Gibraltar? Yeah. It says, in the early hours of Thursday, a group of orcas broke the rudder and pierced the hull of a boat after ramming into the Mystique on its way to Gibraltar, prompting its crew of 4 to contact Spanish authorities for help. And, like, there's just been a bunch of orcas that have just been doing this stuff. But, like, mostly yachts. So, I thought that was pretty incredible.
That is definitely certified wacky.
Kind of certified based, if you ask me.
It is quite based.
But yeah, it says an expert suggested a traumatized killer whale may be inadvertently teaching others to target them.
Inadvertently. You know how smart these creatures are? There's
Oh,
nothing
yeah.
inadvertent about that. They're doing it on purpose.
I think she knows, and I'm here for it.
I think she knows. I saw a post a long time ago that basically said that, you know, like, oh, sharks are evil and dolphins are good. And somebody corrected them by saying, well, a shark is pretty neutral. They're not like intelligent thinkers. They're not like actively choosing to do good or bad things. They're just a shark. However, dolphins, which includes orcas, are definitely intelligent enough to know what they're doing and know the difference between good and bad. And so those whales, white gladys, they're doing it on purpose. Absolutely, 100%.
Slay.
A little eco-terrorism goes a long way.
They're doing it in honor of Ted.
They're doing it for Ted.
The other thing, aquatic related, of course, is the news about the Titan submersible.
Which you've most likely heard about.
At this point, kind of old news, but
Yeah,
for those of us who lived out this week, it was big news because, you know, they're like, oh, it released Sunday, and like just slowly we would learn more and more about it, and also that like, oh, they're missing and this, that, and the other. If you don't know, there were some 5 rich people on this little tin can submersible, and I'm hoping to make a video potentially about this also specifically, so I don't need to get too deep about it. Basically, there's something about like the 5 people.
Well, I know that one of them was a kid who just went with his dad for Father's Day, which is upsetting.
That one is upsetting. Here we go. The 5 lives lost in the Titanic submersible. Yeah, people have been talking about the irony that a bunch of rich people went down to look at the Titanic in this DIY submarine, basically, and then they died. And people were like, oh, the poor ghosts of the Titanic finally get revenge on the rich.
Let's talk about the craftsmanship of this thing.
You can. I'm sure you probably...
It's quite literally a tin can like this. That it's got... There was a interview with this guy. He's done a couple of trips with these. I think he did 4 or 5 trips where he took this very shoddy, MacGyvered little submarine, or submersible, because the difference is a submarine can, under its own power, surface and go down and get into the water and all that. A submersible has to be brought out by a boat, and then it goes down and comes up, and then the boat takes it out of the water.
And it has to, like, it gets its communications and stuff from that mothership.
Yes.
Which is why people were like, oh, we lost contact with it. Because, like, normally those things need to have the contact to be able to...
Right. A submarine doesn't need a mothership. A submersible does.
Yeah.
The video in this, in which the owner and the proprietor, inventor, talks about it, is that the Stockton Rush is his name. He basically is asked, why does it look like that? It looks like a hunk of junk. Don't you think that's dangerous? And he said, this is basically a verbatim quote, I don't want a bunch of 50-year-old white expert guys talking about this. That's not very inspirational. So, like, he literally wouldn't hire experts because they were too white and old. So he just did it himself. And he said that the only part of the submersible that was, like, professionally built was the hull, which, duh, is, like, the important part, right? But every other part of it, he just built. Like, the ballast, which is, if you know anything about boats, ballast is literally just supposed to be weights that you can drop so you can float back up. Here, like, this will sink, right? Or will float if I covered that. But if I attach a bunch of rocks to the side, it'll go down. And if you cut the rocks off, it'll go up. His ballast was just like steel pipes, like glued to the outside. How do you drop those? You don't.
Although, I'll say something else about that later. But, so basically, we have these 5 guys. Stockton Rush, the CEO, obviously not the smartest cookie, or maybe just crazy. Because why would, like, to me, you know, it's one thing to, like, be like, yeah, give me your $250,000 to go down to see the Titanic on this sub I made. Oops, but it's not very well made, and I know that, so I'm not gonna go on it. But no, the man went on it, so, like, I think he's just crazy.
Well, he clearly had confidence in his own craftsmanship, which, you know, I respect. But I do not respect your shoddy craftsmanship. Like, I respect your commitment to your craft, but your craft sucks.
Yeah, not good. We got Hamish Harding. He's a British businessman. I think this guy is a billionaire. So I think the CEO was a millionaire. This guy, I think, is a billionaire. Yeah, he's a chairman of Action Aviation, a sales and air operations company based in Dubai. So this guy had a lot of money.
He's a world record holder for diving, it looks like. So this guy loves the water.
Yeah. We got Paul Henry Nargelet. I don't know if that's how you say it. This one was actually an expert.
He's French, so you probably
he's done dives to the Titanic, like the wreck site before. So this one's a little sad for me because I'm like, this guy is actually an expert in the thing and like does this a lot, and I don't know why he got in on this, but that's unfortunate. Although he was the director of underwater research for RMS Titanic Inc., which is an American company that owns the salvage rights to the famous wreck. So it's like a little bit weird having salvage rights to a wreck, like a disaster like that, right? But sure.
They don't even really salvage it traditionally. It's more of like a site. But like somebody has to be able to go down there and look at it.
You know when you go to museums and they have stuff from it?
Yeah.
Like that's like they take stuff.
Right.
Which we can talk about, like, should you take stuff from a thing where a bunch of people died? I don't know.
Yes.
Anyways, then we have the son that you're talking about in Suleiman Dawood? Suleiman?
And Shahzada.
Shahzada. I think the dad is also a billionaire. But yes, I also heard that kid was just going because it was Father's Day and his dad.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that guy was a British Pakistani businessman. Yeah, they were members of one of Pakistan's wealthiest families. So
yeah, a bunch of rich people getting on a poorly crafted submersible, and well, lo and behold, this hunk of junk didn't perform, and they all died.
Yeah. It was very interesting going through the week, and everyone's like, talking about it, freaking out because. You know, they're like, okay, it could have imploded, which because when it was lost, we didn't know that they were dead yet, because they were supposed to have 96 hours of oxygen. So for a while, people were just like, okay, they're lost, like maybe they are on the surface, but they can't get out, because that was another fun quirk about this, was that it could only be open from the outside. So, like, okay, they could be on the surface of the thing, but no one knows where they are, so we can't get them out, so they could run out of oxygen still if we don't find them in time. Or they could be stuck in the wreck, like maybe the submersible got stuck on something and looking at the wreck and it can't come up, because no matter how much they drop off, like, it just can't move if it's stuck on something. Or they're stuck somewhere else in the ocean and they just, like, are having a hard time and they're running out of air. Like, that was, like, what people were talking about. They're like, oh my god, they're running out of air and that sucks. And also... But then also people were like, well, it could have just imploded. And people were like, that would be the best because it would happen so quick that, like, they would have...
It's true.
You know. So, those, like, all those kind of things that were going around all week. And I don't remember which day it was. One of the days, there was, like, banging heard. And so people were thinking, oh my god, it's them. And people were, like, sure. They're like, this is an SOS signal that they're doing. They're doing it every 30 minutes. It's for sure an SOS signal. But come to find out, that was potentially days after it imploded. Because initially when they're like, we found debris on like the ocean floor near the Titanic, or I think they said like 1,000 feet from the Titanic.
Yeah, it floated away.
So it was a ways away, but like semi in the area of the Titanic wreckage, we found this debris field and we're pretty sure it belonged to that, so they imploded. But they were like, we don't know, like, when it happened. Well, I saw something either this morning or yesterday that said that actually the U.S. Navy, like, knew. And it happened, like, Sunday. Like, it happened, like, the day they went down.
Well, they probably... So, on the implosion thing, I've heard a couple people talk about this, and I don't think they quite understand. Like, when... By implode, they mean the pressure from the water is so great that it literally crushes the submarine like a can. Right? And it, like, snaps closed like that, and it would, presumably kill everybody inside of it pretty quickly. However, you don't just, like, teleport to the ocean floor and instantly get crushed, right? Like, you'd be drifting down. So there definitely would have been a time where the pressure on the submarine is, like, building, and they can hear it, like, creaking a little bit, and they go, oh, that's not good. And then the walls collide on them. So that would have been
So they might
upsetting.
have known that it was happening, but when it did happen, it would have been, like, painless kind of thing.
Right. Like, you might know somebody's about to, like, punch you in the face, but, like, as soon as their hand hits you, like, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been what it was like. It was like, oh, we're getting too low for the submarine to handle. That's bad. And then your lights turn off.
Because, okay, and here, this is the Wall Street Journal. It says U.S. Navy heard what it believed was Titan implosion days ago. And, like, to the point where I think it was before.
I hate how a lot of these publications make you subscribe or something. Like, you can't read the New York Times on your computer without paying, and I'm not doing that.
CBS News won't make me pay. Yeah, just hours into sub's journey, Navy detected sounds consistent with an implosion. And so then people were like, why didn't they tell us ahead of time? Why did they just let everyone freak out this whole time? I actually don't know the answer to that. I can't remember.
I believe it was probably to inform, like, families and stuff before informing the news.
Maybe. Coast Guard Rear Admin? Is that what that stands for? I don't know.
Where do you see that?
ADM.
Yeah.
John Mauger said at a news conference Thursday that teams had found... Oh, yeah. So that was when they were like, oh, yeah, we found pieces that we think it means it imploded. But the U.S. Navy said that the military detected an acoustic anomaly consistent with an implosion on Sunday, which was, like, right after they left. Or actually, it was not long after they lost contact. So if you remember, they lost contact, like, a few hours into going down. So apparently, like, they lost contact, and then not long after that, they imploded.
Yeah, they probably lost contact with their mothership and then started sinking. And then you get to a depth that the boat can't handle, and it...
This says it implodes inwards in a matter of 1,000th of a second.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
You can actually do an experiment with that with boiling water and an empty soda can like this. Where you, like, pressurize the can, basically, and then when you touch the boiling water, I believe, I'm paraphrasing, basically all the air rushes out of it instantly, and the can goes...
Actually, I think I remember doing that in my chemistry class in high school.
Yeah, it would have been like that.
We, like, would heat them up, and then they...
Yeah, or maybe you touch maybe it's cold water in a hot and a heated...
I don't remember exactly, but something like that. Yeah, you're definitely right. But from what I had heard, I'm trying to see if this article says anything about it, but someone was saying that, I guess, if you were talking about that there's, like, those weights on that they can drop.
Yeah.
Someone was saying that it looked like where all the other debris and stuff from the ship was, like, further away, as if they had done it sooner, like when they were trying to drop other weights. The thing that holds the weights, which must not be what you're talking about, because they said that thing had also fallen, like they had gotten rid of the thing that holds the weights altogether. So maybe it was a different part of it, because they didn't call it what you called it. So there must be another part. Yeah, they didn't call it ballast. It started with, like, an N or something. So there must be another part of it that, like, also holds it that they dropped, because they were, like... So they're basically saying that it seems like the CEO knew that it was not going good, and, like, probably, like you said, that they can maybe see that the pressure was growing and getting to a catastrophic level, and he was just, like, trying to, like, flow up, basically, and obviously that did not work out.
Yeah, like, people hear, 1,000th of a second to implode, and that's, like, the actual action of implosion only takes 1,000th of a second, but, like, as I said, you don't just appear suddenly in a zone where you implode like that. You have to sink down low enough to do that. So you're right. He probably did see it coming and tried to do something, and then it didn't work, and then they got squished.
Yeah. So, rip to that.
Rip to them. That was one of the worst looking tin cans of a vehicle I've ever seen in my life.
Certainly would not catch me getting in that tin can, but you know, for $250,000, yeah, no, probably not.
For $250,000, you too can get in your own nice wet coffin.
Yeah. And they won't even be able to find your body because there won't be a body.
Yeah.
Which is like really hard to like imagine. Because like people were also saying that, and they're like, oh, well, aren't like, what are they going to get their bodies? And people are just like,
I don't know how to tell you this.
they're not going to be bodies to get.
They were pulverized. They're gone.
And this is like so hard to conceptualize. I feel like that a human could just.
It's like having a rock dropped on you and you just squished.
You just gone.
Yep.
So much ocean aquatic news, really.
Morbidity on all accounts, I guess.
The yachts are sinking. The rich people subs are imploding.
Yeah, things are not going well. I think that might do it for us today.
Yeah. Sorry to end on a morbid note, but I think everyone's been pretty interested in that. So I hope you enjoyed this episode.
Of real dinner hours.
Dinner hours. Make sure to comment what you think. If you have any suggestions, questions, the like, and subscribe.
Feel free to argue with me in the comments about the quality of Crollo's breakfast.
Yes.
And don't forget to send us yours.
Oh, yeah.
Send us your breakfast.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.